What's up guys, today is the day Honkai Star Rail finally revealed when we are getting Black Swan and when we are possibly going to Penacony. And today I wanted to basically talk about all things Black Swan, what her coming to the game means, and why you should be saving your Stellar Jades for this character. Because she is going to be a really big release, lots of people have been waiting for her. She's basically similar to Kafka in the way that pretty much everyone wants her, and there's even been talk since 1.0 about Black Swan. Now, I'm not quite sure how people have known about her from 1.0, but I do believe it's something to do with the beta. However, I know that she is a very, very looked at and sought after character. So yeah, this is going to be a massive release, and I really can't recommend saving your Stellar Jades more. So let's get into talking a bit more in detail. So first of all, I want to talk about who Black Swan is, because she is a really influential and really important character who is linked to the Aeon Fuli from the Path of Remembrance. Now, she is really important because she is a memo keeper in the Garden of Recollection. And if you know from March 7th story quest, this is where March's memories are being held. The Garden of Recollection is also going to be a really important area in the story. However, I severely doubt that we're going to the Garden of Recollection just yet, but I do believe that we are going to Penacony, but more on that later. So yeah, she's basically a memo keeper in the Garden of Recollection. So just as Kafka is a DOT character on the Path of Nihility, in terms of characters, she actually follows the Path of Destruction, as you can see from this image here. And so the Garden of Recollection is something I personally really look forward to, because it is sort of a ethereal space that is somewhere in nowhere, if that makes any sense. Now, the fact that she likes to collect memories and collect information actually brings me very nicely onto my next point. My next point is the fact that she looks extremely similar to Echidna from ReZero. Now, for those of you who haven't watched the anime ReZero, it's basically an isekai about this guy who gets taken to another world, and he is constantly dying and essentially respawning, but he goes back to a checkpoint. But once he's got a checkpoint, he can't go back. So it's a really good anime, and I really suggest it, but one of the witches in this is the Witch of the Sin of Greed, and she basically is greedy for all of the knowledge in pretty much just the whole world. She wants to know absolutely everything, and I believe that Black Swan is probably taking inspiration from this character, because not only design-wise does she look extremely similar, but she also has a very similar character story as to where she really wants to know the memories of everyone in the universe and always wants to know pretty much everything, which also ties into the Garden of Recollection, wanting to make it so memories are eternal. The Garden of Recollection is basically an enemy of time, because they see that time takes everything away, and so they want to preserve everything and make everything essentially eternal. Which is why I believe Fuli is to do with ice, because he kind of wants to freeze everything, you know, stop it from disappearing. So yeah, I just really like the Garden of Recollection, and I'm super hyped for this character, if you can't already tell. So now that I've covered the character and the character design choices and why I really like that, I now want to talk about her kit. Now, not actually her kit, because obviously she's going to be ages away, we have nothing confirmed for her kit, we don't know anything. All we know is that she is going to be a Nihility wind character, and this is really important. So first of all, I want to say that Nihility characters specialize in debuffs. Now, not all of these debuffs are going to be damaging debuffs. Some of them are going to be defense shred, as an example, or enemies take more damage, or pretty much anything else that is considered a debuff. Now, generally, this is stuff like Pela, and Pela is ice. Now, while she is Nihility, she does not apply a damage over time, because ice is not a damage over time element. However, looking at Black Swan, she is wind, and wind Nihility is actually really good. And why it's really good is because the only other wind nihility character is Sampo. In fact, the only other real wind DPS characters we have is Blade, and Blade is pretty much not even a DPS. While he is good, yes, he is more of a long fight type character. He isn't someone who you would build a main team around. In my eyes, he's more of a sub DPS, as I run him alongside Jing Liu with follow-up attack, because that's pretty much all he is for me. So us getting another banner for a wind DPS is going to be really nice for people who don't already have one. On top of this, I also believe that she is going to be a very good debuffer. I think that she is going to apply enemies with very good debuffs that can be very good for our Kafka teams. We are looking at potentially replacing some of the characters that we are using because we are getting more than just dot DPSs. Luca. All Luca does is basically apply bleed. That's all everyone used him for because physical is a really good break effect in the form of bleed, as well as the fact that we use Gwynaifen. But why do we use Gwynaifen? It's because she's a debuffer. She's not just the burn, she also gives a debuff. This debuff reduces the enemy's defense, and that on top of the ignoring defense percentage gear that we have now, we can basically make it so the enemy has no defense. If we get another form of defense reduce in terms of Black Swan's kit, we might even be able to actually fully ignore enemy defenses. This is crazy, especially for certain endgame bosses in the future that might have extremely high defense. We could also potentially see something that buffs the rest of our team's effect hit rate. This is something that I've been thinking about and really wanting for a long time. This would mean that it completely removes the fact that we might need effect hit rate on characters that tend to need a lot. I mean, Sampo, I'm pretty sure, needs anywhere from 30 to 40% effect hit rate. This is quite a lot. Considering effect hit rate starts at around 5% on your relics, it means that you're going to need to allocate 4 to up to 8 relic rolls on your gear into effect hit rate, and it's basically a wasted stat. Imagine if you had all of those 8 into attack percent. You could probably nab around an extra 700 to 800 or even 1000 attack dependent on the light cones you have. So elevating that relic, I guess, needancy, or the requiring of having effect hit rate on your relics, makes room for relics that are completely just speed and attack, just full damage, just smack them really hard. So I'm really looking forward to Black Swan because there is a huge amount of potential for her kit, not only for just generally as a potential debuffer to essentially replace maybe Paler, maybe she has a really good enemy debuff, or she could also be a good DOT DPS, someone who we could not only pair Kafka with, but we can also essentially use as just a main DPS or a hyper carry. So I'm super hyped for not only Penacony, but also the Garden of Recollection, as well as just Black Swan's kit, to just see what's happening. Now, all of this taking into account, and me explaining how great she is, I wanted to get to the main point of this video. You need to save your Stellar Jades. Firstly, yeah, I get it. Argenti's really cool, Knight of Beauty, etc. If you really like him, pull for him. But if you're pulling him just because you need a better DPS, I would really just save, because not only will we be getting Acheron in the future, and I believe she is going to be on a similar level to Raiden Shogun from Genshin Impact, because I'm pretty sure these two characters are both pretty much taken inspiration from Raiden Mei from Honkai Impact. I'm pretty sure I've got all that correct. And so I really think Acheron is also going to be a really big pull for character, and just fingers crossed that the next character they drip market is not going to be Acheron, because I don't think many people's bank accounts can take the damage that would do. On top of all this, we also have the new Honkai Star Rail livestream coming on, I believe, the 15th for European time, I believe 15th. It could be 16th, I might be wrong, so don't hold me on that, but you can find information about it on probably all of their social medias. On top of this, I also want to say that Argenti's banner will not end by the time that the live stream happens. So if you are potentially thinking about getting Ron May or maybe Dr. Ratio, which I highly advise against, I really recommend saving and just waiting for Penacony's characters, especially if you're running a dot team. Although Ron May might be really good as well, so if you have Stellar Jades, maybe going for Ron May and Black Swan is a good idea, but we'll just have to see in the reveal of their kits. So yeah, what I can all say is just really just wait for the live stream to see their kits and just determine for yourself if you actually want to pull them or not. So yeah, thank you everyone. I really hope this was a bit insightful and gave you a little look at Black Swan and what I think of her. So yeah, hope you guys have an amazing day and good luck with your pulls eventually when you pull for Black Swan. And yeah, see you guys. Peace.